Hello, everyone. I'm Sasha. I'm a staff product designer on the UX paper cuts team at GitLab. And in my UX showcase this time, I want to show you something a bit different. I want to talk about, did you know, tools to boost your productivity. So as many of you know, in UX paper cuts, we work quite a lot with coding. So we do a lot of coding and hands-on with code. And I just want to showcase some of the tools I'm using to be more productive and more efficient, and potentially tools you could also use to boost your productivity. So this potentially can be a part one of many, because there's so many things, and tools I could show you. I will restrict myself this time around for my browser of choice, what this browser has up its sleeve. And then maybe we can also have a look at my code editor and some of the nifty things you can set up to actually be more productive. Let's dive in. Let's talk about Arc. This is my browser of choice. Let me introduce you Arc, right? If you don't know Arc, you might live under the rock, or maybe you already know Arc and you already have like all the productivities at your fingertips. So, oops, let me open a new window. All right. So I'm using Arc, as I mentioned. It's a browser, it's Chromium based, it's Chrome based, so like all your extensions work as they do for Chrome. But it actually has some very nifty features which make you way more productive. So the first thing is Arc has split view built in. So for example, I can do this. I can just drag this here to my other tab, and I have like two, like a side-by-side view. I can resize those views, making like one part smaller, the other one bigger. I can also go into splitting this up and say, okay, I want to convert this to a vertical view. So I have like a top and a bottom view. So this is a very cool thing. I can close this out. Then when I'm somewhere on a link and I actually want to see like a follow-up link, but I don't want to actually visit the website, I can actually click on
Looks like we lost Sasha. I'm gonna pause the recording and see if he rejoined. Oh,
yeah,
You're
has
back.
been my internet connection. I'm very sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
All good.
Do we continue?
Yeah, sounds good. Recording's still going.
Okay. So you have many options you can use. I talked about split view. You can split in each direction. You can even have like 3 views or more. You can open like this modal view where you can preview like a site. So I'm still on this site. If I shift click on something, I can actually use the next page within the page. And if I click outside, I'm actually still on this page. So this really boosts productivity because you don't have to open like many tabs. If you just quickly want to see like a follow-up link, this can be very handy if you're navigating around GitLab, for example, if you're like on an issue or an MR. And then I just want to see, okay, let me see like my open issues. I can quickly see my assigned issues, and then I can close it out, and I'm still on the MR, which I was before. So I actually do not lose like the context I'm in, which is pretty cool. The next thing is if you hit Command T, you actually get like this nice tab view where you can switch between tabs. It's like the tab view from your operating system, but just like built within the browser, so you can easily switch between tabs. It also has like a built-in search. So basically you can search for open tabs, but you can also search for closed tabs. So if you worked on an MR, like, I don't know, like maybe 2 weeks ago, and you remember maybe like somewhat the title, you can actually find it and reopen it without, like going into GitLab and searching for it. So that's pretty cool too. If you're more traditional and you do not like that the address bar is on the left side, you can also change that. You can change it to appear at the top. You can also show like the full URL, something Chrome has recently removed or made it very hard to do. So you can actually see like full paths, which is also nice. And then the best thing is you can go into this clutter-free mode, where you can hide like the sidebar and basically like everything you see in the UI of Arc, which just helps you to have like a distract-free view on what you're working on, which sometimes can also be very handy. You can do way more. So this should not be a sales pitch for Arc. You can use spaces, you can customize the appearance. You have a lot of options. But just saying like that my browser of choice is Arc, and I'm now diving a bit more into like tools I use. Some of them might be available for other browsers as well, like Chrome and Firefox. Some are like browser extensions, so you can easily use those tools as well with your browser of choice, and others are just like very much restricted, or like built into Arc. So if we open GDK for a second, which might take a while when we use Zoom. There we go. I can actually set like this GDK, like my local GDK, into like a developer mode. So I go here to turn on developer mode. And then I get this top bar. Like first of all, like my tab in my tab list on the left side gets actually exposed, like with this working looking outline. So I can actually see, okay, this page is my local page, and I do not miss, like GDK with like production or any other environment, which is pretty cool. But I also get like additional tools I can work with. One of them is pretty handy because you get like a capture feature where you can actually build in where it can capture just like a part of the UI, or you can just like snap a whole part. And then it also has like edit functionality, so you can annotate pretty quickly something. So you can say like, hey, this should be changed. Maybe we do like, yeah, let's remove like this part. And did you see this? So you have like all those tools where you usually use like multiple tools on your computer, just right built into Arc, which is pretty awesome. All right, and then this is very specific to the work I do, but sometimes I want to try out something on my local. Like like back in the day, I used like user style sheets, but actually Arc has built in a feature called boosts. So let's say I want to change. Let me quickly zoom in. So maybe I want to work on the navigation, and we will try out like like a new feature. I can actually create the boost. I already created it here, and now you can see that we removed like like outlines of the action buttons. We moved like the search bar to the top. So this is an experiment I'm running locally, and then if I want to share this with somebody else to try out, and this person also uses Arc, I can actually let me see here. I can actually share this. So it creates like a shareable feature which contains all my local code. And if you click on the link, it actually installs it on your local, and then you can apply it to each website you would like to do so. So that's pretty handy too. We have more functionalities. So let's say like you working on to like to fix a UX paper cut in our UI, and like a lot of times we forget to test in dark mode. So potentially we create like another, like regression in dark mode. So there are two different tools built into Arc. They're also available for other browsers, but they're just very accessible here to make life very easy to test for dark mode. So first of all, you go into your user settings, and then you enable the automatic mode, which is like a new experiment, which was rolled out a couple of weeks ago. Let me see. Okay, there you go. Okay, when I'm now going back to my site, because like my operating system is in dark mode, obviously like the site is in dark mode as well now per default. But what I can do is if I fire up the DevTools, let me make them a bit bigger so you can actually see them. All right. I have like this tool here, which is like a toggle, which I can say prefer light modes. And then I can actually quickly switch between, okay, let's see how this component looks like in dark mode, how it looks in light mode. Okay, it's good. So I potentially can just, like create the MR and go ahead, which is pretty awesome. Then you can also check for accessibility stuff, right? If you want to check, does this text have like, like enough contrast, you can actually click on a color and then you actually see the contrast ratio. So 6.12, that's perfect. You can also expand this and then you see, okay, this actually qualifies for AA. It wouldn't qualify for AAA because that's 7:1. But AA is 4:5 and we have 6.12, so all is good. For more advanced stuff, I'm using the Axe DevTools. I won't go into details because they're quite powerful. But another tool I would like to show you is, because I was asked quite often in recent weeks, when you want to do like a small paper cuts on your own, like where do you actually find the file in your code base, right? For XAML files, like you might know we have still some a lot of legacy code which use like XAML files, XAML template files, and they are pretty easy to spot because if you inspect something which uses like a XAML file, you can actually see on the Elements tab, you can actually see like, the path of the file being used for this function. So you can quickly copy this path in your editor and then you're good to go. For Vue, it's not that easy, right? Because you do not see which templates get rendered by Vue unless you actually install the Vue developer tools. So now I have a way to inspect things. Okay, let's go back to our navigation. So I inspect this part here. I can see, okay, this actually uses multiple components. It uses GL button from GitLab UI. It uses a user bar, and this has like a bunch of other things. I want to do changes on user bar. I can actually hit this button on the top right, and then it automatically opens. It opened in the wrong window, but here it actually automatically opens the file, the Vue file in your code editor. Let me maybe do this again so you can actually see it live. So I'm here on the Vue tab, I click open, and then the file actually opens here, right? And if we maybe zoom out a bit, and now we can say, I want to change, let's remove the user menu. So you can see the user menu is gone, the user menu is here. So this is a very easy way to spot your XAML files and your Vue files in your code editor. And this can save a ton of time if you don't know where like the files are located in our code base. So that's cool. And then also if you want to reuse like or like a way to check like which components potentially can be used, this can be very helpful when we do like another round of migrations. We actually have multiple tools to do so, right? The first thing is GitLab UI, right? You have like all our Vue components visible here, and you can actually see like all the properties you can give or like all the variants we have for them. But maybe you didn't know that we actually have the same thing for shared components in our GitLab code base. So we actually have a different storybook, a different place where you can actually see like widgets and like components being used in our UI. So you can actually see which ones you can reuse. So if you build you want to try to refactor something, and something is already available, there's a chance that you can actually reuse like a component instead of creating a new one. which is pretty cool. And then we have the same for Haml components as well. So we have a lookbook, it's called. It basically works the same, but just for Haml components. So we also have Haml components where you can actually see them in here. Let me go maybe this one. A page heading. So you can reuse this. You can actually see here down on source, code you can copy and paste to get started and to get things migrated, which is pretty cool. Yes. So these are some things you potentially can use, which makes your life way easier, especially when we do another round of migrations maybe later this year, hopefully. So you can kickstart and be more productive and waste less time finding like the right files to edit. The second thing, and this pretty quickly because I think this would be like another talk about like configuration and all the cool tools you can integrate in your code editor. But I think like two things I want to highlight is if you use the GitLab extension in VS Code, you actually get access to our assistant, to GitLab Duo within your code editor, which can be pretty handy. And the second thing is you get like this workflow tab or sidebar where you can actually see all your open merge requests, which are assigned to me. These are all my open MRs currently. And you also can have a look on all the merge requests you're assigned as a reviewer. A right click on one can actually check out this merge request locally for you. You can view a diff of the changes. Hence, you can even see like the details of this merge request within your code editor, and you can actually even write comments on it. And you see the pipeline for the branch. So you can actually see the pipeline status. You can also see like which tasks potentially failed, and you can open them in your browser to deep dive into what potentially went wrong, or if you want to do like changes to the previous version. Those are all things you can do right from your code editor as well. But yeah, that might be more of a deep dive if you're interested in how to set up your code editor to be more productive as well. Yes, I think that was quite a bunch of information in a very short time, right? Do you have any questions so far?
Chad, it looks like you have the first comment in the doc if you wanted to vocalize that.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I forgot to mark that as read only. I was just agreeing that like the auto doc mode makes it so much easier when you're switching back and forth and doing dev stuff.
Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to vocalize? All right, I think we can call it. Thanks so much for sharing, Sasha.